This is the press feed webinar on Google's Panda update, their most recent Panda update, and why an online newsroom is in fact a good solution to what this Panda update has produced. So let's take a look and see what this is all about. And get the slides to move. There we go. I just wanted to mention that in terms of optimizing all your content for Google, you can find all the information you need in my book, Smart News, how to write branded content that gets found in search and shared on social media, and that's available on the Amazon Kindle. So let's start by taking a look at why PR needs SEO. It's almost 10 years since we started talking about search engine optimization for PR. And as an industry, I think we've been a little slow to really adopt this, but this year, the 2015 Edelman Trust Barometer, which they do every year globally on looking at the things that people trust the most in all kinds of different areas. For the first time this year, they published the fact that search is now the most used, which we all know, but also the most trusted source for news and information about business. So our job as PR people is to get the news and information out about our business. And up until recently, we've always just accepted that the media and other authorities were trusted sources. That's what's shown up in this Edelman Trust Barometer for years and years and years. And now we have search as the most trusted source for news and information. So here we go. Used first and most. And we all know this. First source for general information. First source for breaking news. Source used most to confirm or validate news that they have already heard. So there you go. It now really is the thing we have to be using. We must make sure that our information and news about our companies and our clients is visible in search. And when it comes to search, again, we all know that Google is the number one. It's the big 800-pound gorilla. So now in terms of media sources, they're calling search engines a media source. That has to resonate with us because our job is a lot about getting news out via media sources. And here we go, the most trusted media source for information, general news and information, is a search engine. And even more so if you're talking about the millennials, much more so. 72%. It's 64% in the general population, above any other types of media. So look at in the millennials, and those are people like up to about 35. That's a good demographic. Only 64% in the trust the traditional media, but it's 72% for search engines. And it's not just like a search engine. This is the thing I really want to bring home to you. It's not like a search engine over there is something different, and here we have the media, and they're two different things. They are calling this the most trusted media source. This puts it right squarely smack in your face in the middle of your PR activity. So now is the time. If you ever thought there was no time or there might be a time later, the time is now. Right now, when you have to start looking at the fact that Google is an integral part of what you do in PR. So then let's look at this Panda part of their algorithm. The Panda update was first introduced in February 2011. And what happened at that time was Google has been very, what's the word I'm looking for? They've been very kind of overt and friendly about what it is they're looking for. They're not hiding things. Yes, if you look at their algorithm, it's a long string of all sorts of things none of us would ever understand. And there are about 200 different criteria that they look at when they rank a piece of content. But actually, it boils down to just a few things. And Google has been very, very open about what it is they're looking for. And for the longest time, they've said, look, we're trying to produce the best information. When somebody comes to Google and they do a search, our job as Google is to find what we consider to be the most relevant, the most reliable, the most authoritative, best value piece of content to give that person. Because that's their job, that's what they do. And so all those years they were saying to people who were doing search engine optimization, guys, listen, we don't really want you to do all these little tricks and what eventually became called black hat SEO, trying to game and manipulate the system. What we really would like you to do is just write great content about your topic. And we will then sort out which we think is the most relevant. Well, that never happened, unfortunately. So eventually, Google just said, look, we're going to have to, we've asked you guys to self-regulate. It's not happening. So we're going to do it now. And then they released this Panda update. And the point of it was to stop sites with poor quality content, which Google refers to as thin content. And we don't want those getting into the top search results because it's bad for Google, it's bad for the people who are searching. It's great for the brand that's manipulating the system, obviously. But if they put crappy content up there, ultimately, actually, it's not good for them. So that was what the point of the Panda update was, just eventually Google hauling out their big stick and saying, hey, we told you guys not to do this and you're not complying, so here you go. We're going to enforce this now. We want great quality content. And if you don't create great quality content, you're not going to rank in Google. So get with the program, please. So they do updates from time to time, but they've been kind of little tweaks here and there. Early in July, I started to see conversations amongst the SEO community about, it looks very like Google is doing something with Panda. Because you must understand that we all watch these things very carefully. It's not that Google like leaps up and says, hey, we're going to do this. But if you are familiar with how they work and you're watching your clients' rankings moving around, it is possible to see the signs. And there definitely were some signs. And so we were seeing headlines like this. Did the Google Panda July 2015 algorithm update just hit? And then shortly after that, Google did acknowledge it and say, yes, we are rolling out a major Panda update. It didn't all happen at once. It has been rolling out fairly slowly, but it started late in July. So it's been around for just about a month. And what this one is all about is that they're now looking for websites with consistent updates and topical authority. So what does that mean? Topical authority is like if you're ESPN and you're constantly writing about sports, you end up with topical authority on that subject because you have a lot of great content. Other people look to you as the authority for that content. You don't go off topic. Everything on your site is about that. And you are recognized as one of the top dogs about that subject. So that can apply to anybody in any topic. But you have to work at that and you have to earn it. So you have to be writing about a subject. It doesn't have to be very narrow. If you took a brand like Canon, they write about cameras and camera accessories and photography. That's a topic. but you can write about 1 million things under that topic. Do you see what I'm getting at? And then it can't be one and done. They don't want brochureware. They really are not looking at sites who put up a whole bunch of stuff, said, we're done, that's it, and never looked at their site again. So I get that you're not going to change every single thing on every single page of your site every single day, because that would just be a total pain in the butt. But you have to look at it from the other side, remembering that Google is servicing the public. If you were going to look at a website, even a brand's website, if you went there and you looked at it and then you thought, this is pretty interesting, and then about a week later you thought about that subject again and you thought, well, I'll go and take another look at them, but it's all still the same. Nothing on it had changed anywhere, not in their newsroom, not in their blog, not in their products. Everything was just the same. By the time you've come for the third time and nothing has changed, you definitely are not coming back a fourth time. So they are looking for consistent updates. And there are certain parts of a site that lend themselves to this consistent update. Of course, a newsroom is the most logical, and the blog. So you need to look at your newsroom with a very different lens right now. Many newsrooms are simply a kind of an archive where you just put your press releases. And all that's on that page is a list of text links to press releases, which are all text. And that's all it is. And if you're only writing a press release every 3 or 4 months, I guess you could call that consistent. If you do it every 4 months, all the time, it would be consistent. But that's not really what they mean. They do want it to be more frequently, because there's another word they use, which is fresh. So after 4 months, that press release is no longer fresh. So a newsroom does have absolutely everything that this Panda update requires. You just have to really look at your newsroom now and say, how could I use this to fit into this new Panda update? And if you do that, not only will it get you more ranking for your news, but as part of your whole website, it could be a contributory factor to improving the whole SEO ranking of the entire website. Because, see what they say here, the increase the rankings are for websites that have published multiple unique blog posts or articles on one topic with regular updates. So your newsroom should have everything in it. It should have the blog posts. It should have the images. It should have the videos. It should have the infographics. It should have the expert database with constantly updated bios and new videos from your experts. Absolutely everything. Your newsroom should become your content hub with all your digital assets, because it now is a resource not only for the media, but remembering that search engines are now the most trusted form of media. It's going to be a resource for the traditional media, for digital media, for search engines, and for the public, because they're also looking for this constantly updated material. Yes, if they're looking for something specific, they're going to go to look for that camera or whatever it is, that article about the how to. But just think about all the things that you could put into your newsroom. One of the videos, the types of videos on YouTube that are doing the best right now are how-to. If you had a whole series of how-to articles with videos in your newsroom and all kinds of other material, there is just a wealth of stuff you could put into a newsroom. And that newsroom today would just be Panda food. That's exactly what it is. It's just a good newsroom today is the best kind of Panda food out there. So as I said, this is Google's mission, is they want to organize the data on the web. They want to give the people the most relevant and useful results. So who is it that's searching in Google? Well, we know it's journalists because surveys have told us that. And my favorite comment was from Rebecca Lieb, who at that time was chief editor of ClickZ and a bunch of other digital marketing magazines. When I said to her that the research had shown that 98% of journalists start a story by doing research on Google, she just laughed and said, oh yes, and the other 2% were on vacation. So we all know that when we want to find out something, we go to Google, and so does everybody else. There are influencers out there who are using Google to search for things, prospective customers, definitely business buyers. There was a research study done several years ago already, which showed that the number one source of information about companies for B2B buyers was press releases online, not the trade magazines anymore. Anybody that's an interested public member, and of course your other stakeholders, they are all using Google, regarding it as the first source, the most used, and the most trusted. So what kind of content are you going to put in this newsroom? Well, you must put your press releases. There are certain times when a press release is still a good thing, and obviously anyone who needs to do it for SEC regulations has to do a press release. But I talk to journalists and editors and bloggers every day. I just did an interview this week with Jim Brady, who was the chief editor of the Washington Post a couple of years back, and then he was the chief editor of Digital First Media. He now has just started a local news organization that's based in Philly. But I had a really good chat with Jim this week, and I was asking him how things have changed for journalists and whether or not they still think press releases are of any value. And he said, you know, you have to understand that the changes and the revolution of the internet and digital has made it really easy for you to reach a journalist. But it's made it that easy for every PR person to reach a journalist. So the journalists are getting an absolute avalanche of press releases in their email inbox, and it's a bit overwhelming for them. The other side of it is that now that when you put a press release on the wire, it goes into Yahoo and Google, it's immediately available to the public. So you have in fact broken the news yourself. For these reasons, journalists are not paying that much attention to press releases anymore. One of the things they are good for is going back to the 98% of journalists start a story by doing research on Google. I have had several cases where a client has got media coverage because there was a press release in their newsroom, not current, in their archive, about a particular topic. And when this journalist started doing their research, they ran into that press release and went, oh, that's interesting. And this guy looks interesting. Let me go to their newsroom. Let me go and check out his bio. Oh, he has some interesting things to say. Wow, he's pretty good on camera. I'm going to do a video interview with this guy. And we got coverage. So there definitely are still reasons why you should be doing press releases, putting them up, putting them in the newsroom, and making sure that they show up in Google. You should be doing blog posts. That's part of your fresh, original, valuable content. Journalists and editors are really looking for images, infographics, and videos. And the reason that they want that is because there's such a high demand from the public. We are visual people. That's just, as humans, we are better at seeing things. Now, the internet has been a lot text-based, very text-heavy for a long time, purely because of bandwidth. But now that the bandwidth issue has been handled, we have this big appetite for more and more visuals. What I am seeing is that there's a tremendous lack of visual literacy amongst brands. It's kind of become Oh, I need an image, I'll just throw something in there. Pardon me. I saw a Facebook page just the other day. I was asked to do an evaluation of a social for a company, and they have a really well trained and talented writer who's doing all their social, but he is not in any way trained in visuals. And the visuals that he's putting visuals on all his Facebook posts because he's read the research that says you get better results if you have an image with your post. Well, yes, but what that research should have said was you get better results when you have a great original image with your post, not any old stock image that isn't even relevant to the post. Okay. So there's a whole skill set that goes along with that, but they are also looking for expert bios. Because of the reduction of newsroom staff, they've lost a lot of resources. And so when they're doing these searches, they're looking for people to quote and people to interview. And they need to find the experts. Every company has experts about what they do. Even if it's one or two, put them in your newsroom. All the fact sheet and press kit and media coverage, all of those things need to be in your newsroom. Plus links to your social content. Because remember that these journalists are under pressure and they're not going to go looking for your videos. You need to make sure they're there. And your Twitter feed and everything is right there so they can find it with one click. How does this translate into Google? Look at this now. These guys are fair. I mean, in terms of huge, big people like Morgan Stanley and whatever those guys, these guys are a fairly unknown small company. They are an investment company. They are in the New York area. They have a huge amount of money under management. But when you search for them, their newsroom comes up number 3. The website comes up number 1, which it should. And then the locations, which is good, number 2, so you can find where they are. But number 3 is their newsroom. So if a journalist is searching, boom, they have it right there. And if you search news about them, you get the newsroom first, then you get their site, and then you start to get articles and content from the newsroom. So that's the kind of thing that should be happening with your news. If you're doing your newsroom correctly and you're feeding this Panda food into Google, it should be ranking like this for your brand name. If you do a search for your brand name or your client's brand names and your newsroom news content does not show up like that in the first 5 above the fold, you need to pay attention to your newsroom and start doing something about it. Now, unfortunately, a huge majority of newsrooms look like this. They are, as I said, simply a page with a whole bunch of links, all text, no images anywhere. A lot of them don't even have the contact on the homepage. There's no links to any images. There's nothing. And it's really the only value you're going to get out of this is hopefully that you have optimized all these press releases so that when a journalist does a search for something, one of these press releases may show up. Other than that, you're missing about 90% of all the value that you could be getting out of your newsroom. Your newsroom should look something like this. It should be very visual. It should have all kinds of content in it. You need to have a featured story. You need to have your press contacts. Where are my little drawing things? I saw them the other day. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can be smart enough to do this now. So here we have press contacts. Oh, am I not smart? Featured story. Here we've got the videos. There's a whole video gallery here. There's an image gallery. Here is sharing. So it's very easy for them to just click once and put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter. Everything is tagged. This is something that journalists really like. way back when the social media release was first suggested by a financial journalist, two things that he said he wanted most of all: tag everything. The reason for that is when you put these little keywords and tags in, you label your content for Google. So that makes it easy for Google to say, oh, this is about, in this case, newsrooms, public relations, media relations. I know where to put it, and I know when someone's searching what to give them back. Then down the center here, you can have your news releases, you can have different things. Okay, and here we've got exec contacts. You can put your experts in there, sorry. Okay, so now, do I get rid of this now? Okay. Ah, here we go. But now I can't get rid of this pen. Okay, non-drawing mode. Okay, fine. Here we go. All right, so here's the David Lerner one. Again, you can see they've also got on the left top here events, because they do a lot of events. So they have that right at the top on the left. They've got on the right at the top all their socials. They've got their featured stories. They've got their newsrooms. They have down here bottom left their experts, you can see, and everything is tagged. And they have their videos and images, of course. So what kind of content is Google looking for? This is what they've told us. It has to be high quality. As PR people, we know what that means. Well written, no errors, no grammar mistakes, no typos, really rich content, in depth. It's not fluff. We know what that means. Here comes the word I mentioned earlier, fresh. So they're looking at how old it is. And in cases of newsrooms, I have to tell you that Google can be quite persnickety. I know because I manage several clients' newsrooms, and I can see if we don't get constant content, and I don't update every couple of days, suddenly the newsroom will drop out of the search results. Then we have unique. Well, you know, everything in the universe has already been done. There isn't really anything that's unique. But unique to them has some very specific meanings. It can be, you may have seen this data before somewhere, but not in this format. Or it has some unique viewpoint to it. Maybe it's been put into a graphic representation that hasn't ever been done before. So there are lots of ways that you can take existing content, repurpose it, and make it unique. Even with images, you can take a stock image and then use one of these wonderful tools like PicMonkey, Canva. There's one that you can actually put into your WordPress blog, and it's in there, and it will help you to do this. The dashboard that I particularly like is called Sendable, the social media management dashboard. And one of the reasons I like it so much is because it has Canva in the dashboard. And Canva already has all the correct layouts and formats and sizes for Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And so you can repurpose and change things and add text over an image and put one image over another one and all that kind of stuff. And in 2 minutes, you have a unique image. It has to be relevant. Yes, I'm afraid keywords do still matter, not the way they mattered many years ago. It's not a case of writing, this is an organic apple orchard. If you want to eat organic apples, you must always plant organic apples, because that was really dreadful. And Google has gone way beyond that. You don't have to do that anymore. What you do have to do is you have to tell them what this piece of content is about. So you have to have a title tag, and you have to have a headline, and it does have to be about that subject. So it really has to be relevant. Information rich, visual, must have some in-depth content, must be useful, and they really like it if your site is considered a trusted authority on that subject. So here are some of the explanations that Google gives about the unique value. So as I said, you may have seen this information before, but never like this. There may be aspects of your expertise that no one else has ever published before. That is entirely possible. Everybody knows something that other people don't know about their particular business. And then if the content is available elsewhere, but your style is so engaging, it offers unique value. Let me just see, we have some questions here. Let me just see if I can get this out here. Come on. Hang on a sec. Okay, so the tools. One is called PicMonkey, PICMonkey, PicMonkey.com. The other one is called Canva, CANVA. The one that you can buy and download and add to a WordPress blog is called CanvaKala, CANVAKALA. And the dashboard is Sendible, SENDIBLE. I will send you all a link to use for Sendible if you're interested, where you can get a 10% discount. Let me see, is there anything else that you wanted to know? No, that's all. Okay, good. Right, so let's carry on. So this again is the kind of the content types that you should have. Video, infographics, images. A listicle, if you're not familiar with it, is an article that's a list. 5 ways to 7 reasons for. People love them, Google loves them. Case studies and blogs with embedded videos and images. Lots of visuals. Just a word on your content strategy from Lee Oden of Top Rank Marketing. He's such a smart man. And his point here is that when you're doing SEO, there seems to be a focus on clever ways of creating the content and not thinking about the customer and the customer insight, the customer journey. So it's really important to think about the audience and their needs and their interests. It's about quality and it's about experience and providing the right information at the right time. So some of the ranking factors, there is a really full list, as I said, it's over 200, and you can go and take a look at them. But the ones that we take into account mostly in terms of newsrooms, and we know that this works because we've seen results with it. First and foremost, the content, and going on the Panda update, the authority, the value, and the freshness. Links are still really, really important. And the reason for this, which we as PR people really understand or should understand completely, links from some other site to your site, Google regards them as third-party endorsement. And if you think about the fact that when they started Google, these guys were students, and they were kind of building this on the academic model of references. So when you say something, you have to say where you got it from, right? And the way they look at this is what makes you an authority in their eyes is when lots of other people in the same kind of sphere or industry or space that would be relevant are linking to your content. So let's say there's a new skincare product, and suddenly the National Institute of Skincare and a bunch of dermatologists and whatever are writing about the research that created this product and saying and linking to their blog and this kind of thing. So there's that implied third-party endorsement that this is a good site and there's value in this site. The other one is social signals. It's getting very, very big. And these don't even have to be links. They can just be mentions. Google calls them citations. So if somebody tweets about you, your blog post or your newsroom or an article in your newsroom or an image in your newsroom, or they use that image and they post it on Instagram or Pinterest or Facebook or anywhere, those signals are showing up as giving you more and more authority. They're also this kind of seal of approval. And then the user signals. What that means is when they come to your site, what happens? So let's say they do this search and they find your site on page 1 and they click on it. They think, oh, that looks great. They go off to your site. Now what happens? How long does the site take to load? When they get onto the home page or whatever page they land on, do they go, meh, that's not what I was looking for, and they bounce right off? How long do they stay on the site? Do they look at other stuff? So Google's looking to see, we thought you were relevant, now let's see if you really are. What happens when the user gets there? And then another one, that a big update that happened in Google in April was that this year, for the first time, Google is seeing more searches being done on mobile devices than on desktops and laptops. So they're paying a lot of attention to what these people who are searching on mobile devices are doing, and how well does your site or your newsroom perform on a mobile device. Can they find what they're looking for? Can they click those links? Or on that tiny little screen, is it all difficult for them to use? And what kind of user signals are they getting when they're on a mobile device? So here is a Google quality checklist. I will be posting these slides, and before I post them, I will add a resources slide, so I'll put the links, excuse me, I'll put those links to the tools in as well, and it'll be on SlideShare. And then I'll just follow me on Twitter at Sally Falco, and I'll post up on Twitter as soon as it's ready and it's on SlideShare. It should be within like another half an hour or so when we're done. And I have this on a blog post where you can download this, but you can see it in the slide deck. All right, so now let's just have a look at what happens when your newsroom or your article, whatever, shows up in Google. There were two things you have to pay attention to. One is called a title tag, and that's what shows up as the headline on the search page. So this juicing tip, what to do, blah, 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 that is the title tag. And then the other one that's highlighted is the description tag. Now, these things do not show up on the public-facing part of your site. They're in the back end of your site in the programming. Generally speaking, PR people don't either know about them or they don't pay attention to them, thinking that's not my job. It gets done by the programmer. Well, if you don't do it, yes, it will get done by the programmer, and then it may look like something you really don't want to. Because you don't want it to be like this, when Granny Smith apples are out, ... out what? Out of season, out of stock, out of favor? You don't know. You need to learn the rules of how to write a good title tag and how to write a good description, because this might be the first touch anyone ever has when they come to your site. They may never have heard of your brand before, and now they do a search and they see this. They're probably not going to click that first one unless they're really looking for juicing. But they might look down here and go, oh, wait, this one down here, organic Granny Smith apple from Real Foods, they've got 5-star ratings. That's interesting. Granny Smith apples are a crisp, tart apple. Well, that looks interesting. I'm going to click on that one. This person was smart. They wrote a really good title and a great description. If you don't write these and your programmer doesn't know to write them, then Google's just going to take something off your site that looks kind of like okay to them. You really don't want to do that. So when you are working and creating your newsroom, you need to use some kind of SEO-friendly content management system. WordPress is a great system. It's very SEO-friendly. There are WordPress themes that you can use that are kind of news, but they're more like news magazine themes. What you're going to have to do if you want to use WordPress is you're going to have to find a programmer that is really good at manipulating WordPress and get them to tweak it and make it into the newsroom that you want. Okay? Or you can use a hosted vendor like Pressfeed. There are others as well. There are many out there. Do a search for online newsroom, social media newsroom, that kind of thing. You'll find a whole bunch of them. If you already have an in-house content management system that you're using for the website, then find out from your IT department whether it automatically makes the headlines and subheads of your press releases or articles or blog posts into the title tags and description tags, because that is what makes it so much easier. Then you know that you're writing what you write in your headline and your subhead will automatically be put into the programming as your title tag and your description tag, and you have control. So here are the rules. Headline, 6 to 8 words. As soon as you go over that, you're going to get cut off in Google. It's 58 characters, including the spaces. Now you can make the title tag or the headline as long as you want to. You can make it 4 lines long. Just know that it's only the first 6 to 8 words that's going to be indexed and displayed in Google. Put your keyword as close to the beginning as possible, and please remember that your brand name isn't always a keyword. I know that every brand and every client always wants to see their name in the headline. Even the wire services can get a bug up their butt about it, that you have to have the name of the brand in the headline, but really it isn't a keyword in probably 90% of the cases. If you're Coca-Cola or Dell or Apple, fine, you are a keyword. People search for you. But if you Joe Schmo's Pizza, no, not so much. Even most of the companies that are on the Inc. 500 list are not household names. So the brand isn't a keyword. It's what you do that's the keyword. It's what they're trying to solve that's the keyword. And that's what they're going to be searching for. And you want to show up when they search. And also just remember that brands can get kind of incestuous and internal in their thinking. There's one with an airline that was a perfect example. They were advised to do content with the keyword cheap tickets, and they were horrified because they said that's not our positioning. We don't do cheap. We do low-cost fares. Well, nobody in this universe has ever searched for a low-cost fare. Cheap flights, cheap tickets, that's what people search. So you can do low-cost fares, but if nobody finds it, and they were actually talked into doing it, and they sold over $2 million of 4 tickets or 4 press releases. So that kind of speaks for itself. Now the subhead, you can do 120 characters, including the spaces, and you must also put keywords in it. So hopefully your content management system will give you something like this, where there's a title space and a field for the description. The way to optimize your images and your videos is like this. Open the image on your own computer before you upload it anywhere. Right-click it. When you right-click it, you'll be given a little menu and pick Properties. then this Properties tab will open. And you can add in, I'm going to do this again, the title, a subject, and put in tags, which are your keywords. And then under the comments, you can put a whole bunch of stuff. You can put lots and lots of content. You can put your whole press release there if you like. Now this text content is now attached to your image. The reason that you have to do this is because Google can't read images. They can't watch videos. They can only read text. Just think of Google as their little spiders as little blind spider bots. No, that's wrong. They just can't see the images. They can see the text. So when you do this and you take this little piece of property content and you digitally tip it onto the back of the image, wherever that image goes, this content goes with it. So now you can take this image and you can post it into your blog. That content is with it. When Google comes through to spider your blog, it sees this image and it sees all this content. Same with your videos. When you before you put your video onto YouTube, you right-click the video on your computer, you do the same thing, and then when you put it in Vimeo, YouTube, wherever, if somebody else takes it, somebody else embeds it on their blog, some media company takes it, wherever it goes, all your optimization goes with it. Let me see, we have another question. Okay, duplicate content, particularly when it comes to newswire services. Yes, Google is getting picky about duplicate content, but they do understand the concept of news and RSS syndication. So when you're posting on the news service and Newswire, and now your press release gets put on MarketWatch and Yahoo Finance and wherever and wherever and wherever, it is duplicate to a degree, but you have to remember that the whole page is not duplicated because their header and the other content around your press release is different from the one on your site. But you should make sure that they know which one is the original. So if you're going to post it on the wire service and you want that to be the original one, because maybe you think that the wire service has more authority, then you must realize that Google is going to see that one as the most important one and probably won't index many of the others. So it's a bit of a tricky thing to do. The thing that people used to do a couple of years ago of like posting their press releases on 20 different services and free press release services, and the more places you had it, the more links you would have back to your site, that really doesn't work. Google doesn't like that at all. So they do understand what a press release is, but they don't pay any SEO attention to press releases anymore. They have correctly labeled a press release as paid content. It is paid content. You have written that content, you have put it on a newswire, and you have paid a good amount of money to have that thing posted to other places. A press release today that goes on the wire service is definitely paid content. Oh, I have to take these things off, don't I? Well then, let's do this. Where is it? Oh, erase all drawings. There we go. Aha. So here we have the 2015 online newsroom checklist. You should have all these things, and you can have a look at it when you look at the slide deck later. So I'd like to do a little poll. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Select a poll. and I'm going to launch that. What happens then? All right. So I'm hoping that you can see the poll. It says the attendees are viewing. The poll is in progress. So what is the main reason that you have an online newsroom? Could you please answer that for me? That would be amazing. Interesting. Perfect. All right, so we're going to close that one now. And half of you say it's a better way to tell the brand story, and 35% to increase the media coverage, and 15% to service the media. Okay, so let's close that one. All right. So if you are concerned about your newsroom, I would suggest that you ask us for a demo of Pressfeed. It takes about 20 minutes. It's all done online. And for those of you from this webinar who do ask for a demo, we have a little bonus for you that we will do a complete evaluation of your current newsroom for you. So you can go ahead and go to that link and then just request the demo if you would like to do that. And thank you so much for doing the voting. 3/4 of you did that. And so I have another one, and I just have to figure out how to do this. Wow, that wasn't what I wanted to do, was it? So I'd really like to know from you also whether you know if your newsroom is effective or not. Okay, great. Thanks very much. So for those of you who don't know whether your newsroom is effective, it's great that half of you do. That's awesome. But for the others, it would be great if you would ask us for a demo, and then we can help you with that. And before we end off, I would really like to just cover the subject of analytics, a quick word on the subject of analytics. If you're not using something like Google Analytics to improve your content strategy, you really need to learn this. And I know that a lot of us kind of go, our eyes glaze over and we want to run away screaming to the hills as soon as we start to think about data and maths. But it's really not that hard. Google Analytics, it is a big beast of a program, and there's an awful lot that you can dig into, but you don't have to dig into everything all at once. It's just, if you can just get started, and one of the reasons that, this is one of the reasons that I built a Google Analytics PR measurement dashboard. It's a custom dashboard specifically built for PR measurement. It's in Google Analytics. It's totally free. And here's the link where you can go and read all about it, and you can download this free dashboard. And the purpose of doing this is to measure your owned, earned, shared, and paid media. You can set the goals. You can track all the content. You can track the links. You can see where the content is going, where your traffic is coming from, who's linking to you, who's sending you referral traffic. What do they do when they get on the site? So these are all the things that Google is looking at. You can now look at it and say, oh gosh, this is happening, that's happening, I need to correct this. Wow, look at that. There's a piece of content that every month gets more traffic than anything else. We should do more of that. You can measure your goal completions. There's an excellent article out today about PR measurement and the lack of using good PR measurement principles, even in case studies that have been submitted for PR awards. I retweeted it this morning, so if you follow me at Sally Falco, you'll find it. That was one of it's that kind of thing that is the reason why I've done this. So if you're interested in analytics and learning more about analytics, I would suggest you just go to my blog, proactivereport.com, and go and look at this PR measurement blog post there. So these are the kind of things that are in there. You can see the sessions and page views by social network. So what's happening socially, which one of the social networks is actually working, who's visiting and where are they. You can set up the goals and then see by page where your goals, which ones are converting. You can see your new visitors and where they came from. So let's say you put out an article or you put out a press release and it got picked up, or you did some blogger relations outreach and it got picked up. You'll now be able to see in real time where this traffic is coming from. So you'll be able to see who posted your stuff and who linked to you. And then you can see which are the highest trafficked pages. I have a graphic that I did, I don't know, more than a year ago, about the 10 steps on how to do a social media strategy. It's a social media strategy template. Every single time, every month when I do my analytics on my blog, that is in the top 5, and still after a year. So I know that there's a high interest in that subject amongst my readers. So if you have any other questions, we have no more minutes. Let me see where my questions went to. What happened to my questions then? Questions? No, I didn't have any more questions. Okay, wait a minute. Kate, how does Google know if your content is misspelled or poorly written? Because they're smart, Kate. They have all kinds of things in their algorithm. It's not that hard to look for stuff if you're smart enough to do an algorithm. I just found one yesterday on rewriting job descriptions, and the algorithm will find errors, typos, grammar mistakes, whether you've got too many masculine words in there rather than feminine words. I don't know, 100 different things. It's amazing what they can and can't do. I tried right-clicking a photo. I found properties, but how to edit? Okay, well, I wonder if I can actually get onto my, let me see if I can do this quickly. Hold on one second and go on here. Okay, so now, if I go to my pictures and I open this picture, this picture is on my computer. I'm now going to right-click it. Here it says properties. And I'll just pull this over so you can see it. Now, if I click on title, there's a little space there. What the heck is this thing anyway? Oh, whatever. Let's just call it Old Cape Dutch Building. Okay. And then click on subject, and again, you can put it in there. You can even rate it. Of course, you'll give it 5 stars. After all, it is yours. Architecture, is that right? I'm absolutely useless at typing. And then comments. And now you can do blah, 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 blah in the comments. And go, okay. And there you are. You won't see it, but it is now tacked onto the back of this picture. Does that make a difference? What am I opening the photo with? This is, I believe, Windows Live Photo Gallery. It's just the thing that's in my computer. It's where I keep my photographs when I save them. That's where it is. If you're on a Mac, it'll be slightly different. I just went to my computer and I opened where I keep all my pictures. It's my pictures library. And then if I open a picture, it says here Windows Live Gallery. I'm right-clicking it, going to Properties, Title, so on. You can do the same with the videos. Where are my videos? Okay, now. Where is it? There should be a thing of a file where you can do this. I know there's a, I can write it up for you on my blog. I'll do a whole thing on how to do the video. I have a feeling you can do it. There we go. Don't open it, just click it in your library and go to Properties, and then you have the same thing. It's in here somewhere. There we go, under Details, Title, Subtitle, Tags, Comments. Okay. It should work. Okay, so you can always email me, Sally@PressFeed. Go to the site and go to get a demo, and then we'll do the eval for you. You can read my blog. I'm always writing about these kind of subjects in digital PR, and follow me on Twitter. And thanks very much, and we'll see you next month.